Hello friends, it's Astro here and welcome back to Prison Architect, where today we're going to take a look at an update. Yep, this is the first update that's been put out since Paradox took over the IP for this game and Double 11 took over the development. This is the Clink update. I'm a couple of days late, but that's fine. So, there's a whole bunch of new stuff that's been added, which is awesome. And there's a whole bunch of, just cool new things to check out. So let's load up big old test prison. Where is it? It's down here, test prison. We'll load this guy up and we'll just have a bit of a poke about in here and see what the new bits and pieces are. So this is where I just finagle around and do some fun things in this prison. It's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. It's just where I go when I need to check how things are going. So, what we're going to check today is some of the new objects that are available. You'll notice the buttons have been, changed slightly, and there's a little, a few extra bits and bobs in here. So, in foundations, there's nothing new. In walls and doors, we've now got a few extra bits and pieces in here. So the fence, concrete wall, brick wall, they're all as they were. We now have a barred wall, not the musicians from Dungeons & Dragons, but this is essentially like a wall that's just made up of bars. So, it's a barred wall. So if I had an area like this, I could use it to bar off a section here, which is pretty rad, and then I could put in, a jail door here, or even better, solitary door. Yeah, right? And then I could go, alright, well, this is your outdoor solitary zone. Isn't that lovely? And just with the use of those bars there, I can... Oh, there you go. Thanks, Tot Hill. Good on you, mate. Get in there and show off how great this is. So you can sit here, watch the guys pumping weights, and just be stuck in this horrible barred-off cell. Isn't that nice? I think that's nice. So that's number one. Number two on the new walls situation is a white wall, which I think that this is pretty cool, actually. I would consider this to be something that I would put into the visitation room. Yeah, so it's just a wall that's been painted white. So you could get into visitation here and then string that around the outside, just like this, and there you go. I mean, there's a bunch of rubble there as well, but it looks different. It looks nice. It adds a little bit of extra texture to this room. It makes it look a little bit better than what it once did, and I think that that's a fairly cool thing to have. The tiled wall here, I think that this is the sort of thing that you would want. Let's say in an infirmary like this. So instead of being just your regular old bricks or concrete, it's now got these lovely tiles here. Just to match the tiled flooring that's in here and that sort of thing. I think this adds a nice little extra, a little bit of extra texture to make that room stand out slightly. So yeah, it's just some nice tiles. It just looks really nice. The next one on the list is the hedge, which I think is kind of fun. I mean, just to tide up the outside of your prison. But I guess the best thing I think that this allows is you can then have the ability to make a hedge maze. And I don't know about you, but this just seems like something that's completely unnecessary for me to be able to do, but somehow awesome, right? There you go, make a hedge maze. And you know what? Get into the flooring here and get some water. We'll have a pond in the middle of it. Won't that be lovely? Yeah? Excellent. Because these new floors are great as well. There's also the iron floor, which I think the iron floor lends itself perfectly to putting into a utilities room like this to replace the metal floors. It is a metal floor still, but check it. It's got these it's got the checkerboard pattern on the floor here. It's got some of them have holes and cracks and these plates that are bolted down and stuff. It just makes it look a little bit more industrial, and I think that's pretty phenomenal. There's the cargo floor. And I think I'll put this down in the same location here. The cargo floor kind of has a similar tile-based approach where some of the tiles are slightly different. So you got the little vents here and the ones with the lines around the outside and the big lines and the whatnots, and just gives it... So, I mean, this one and the iron floor really both kind of give me that... Do you guys remember Necromunda? It was a tabletop strategy game back in oh gosh, when was it? Back in the day, back in the late 90s, I remember playing it. But yeah, these sort of textures were all over the map in that. It was really, really cool. It was like kind of industrial, you know, an industrial tabletop combat game. But that's beside the point. So, 2 new floor textures that can be used, like, for utility rooms and like your storage room and that sort of stuff. I think those tile plates would look really, really swell when you pop them in those sort of locations. And the last one here is the checkered floor. And this one, oh my goodness, this canteen is filthy. Come on. This one I think goes really well when it's in a canteen like this, right? And it gives it this kind of, it looks like a diner. It turns it into like a 50s diner. I feel like there should be a jukebox in the side and some guy that whacks it with his hand and says, "Hey," or something to that effect. I'm not sure. But yeah, that's your floors. There's a snow tile here as well, which is interesting. So, those are the new bits and bobs that you can build out. In addition to that, we have a bunch of new quick builds, which is pretty phenomenal. You know, in the past, some people have made the mention that maybe I should consider building an entire prison using quick build, and it wasn't really possible at the time, because all you had was like a basic cell, right? It's not really enough to be able to like build a whole prison. And then there was a luxury cell, which was ludicrously expensive, like way too expensive to be able to be popping down a prison straight up. So we've got a new one here called Improved Cell, which, I mean, it's essentially got the same objects as a cell, but it has roughly the size of a luxury cell. But then it's got all this extra space in here. Now, there's some things that I disagree with. For example, these additional 2 drains here are unnecessary. When you have a drain that's directly under a shower head, it's taken care of. Like, you don't need the other ones here and here. So you could have saved a little bit more space so that you could put in, you know, the idea with this would be build out all of these cells and then eventually add a radio, and eventually add a TV, and eventually, you know, right? So you don't have to add everything all up front like you do with this guy, and you don't have to be restricted like you are with this. What are you doing in here, Samuel? Gordon Bennett. This is not a good place for you to be. This is outside the main wall. Oh well, anyway. So the other things that we get access to in here, the other new bits and bobs, I mean, you've got the shared cell, which is pretty cool. You've got the holding cell. That's very handy. There's the office, same as it ever was. Some of these, though, when they plop down, are they still going to do it? Yeah, okay. So the office has been, it's fine now, but some of them don't actually, maybe it's because I'm putting down multiple at the same time, but some of them don't get declared. So like if I make another another holding cell here, some of them don't get painted with the room type when you pop them in. And it appears to be just some of these blueprints that do that, which is a bit disappointing, but that's okay. I'm sure they'll fix that up. Canteen, cool, no worries. That's very, very, very handy. Very easy to take care of that. The kitchen here should be, like, that should have enough chooch to be able to run this, this block here. So that's kind of nice. Medical, very simple. A couple of morgue. I mean, I would personally separate the morgue tables away from the beds. Just so that they, you know, they don't have to see the dead bodies. I would personally see that that's probably a nice thing to do. There's a shop, which is fantastic. You can just plop that down and you're done. They did put a couple of drink machines in there, which I find interesting. And they've done a thing that I wouldn't normally do. Like, normally I would put the shop front so that they poke out through the walls and have it, you know, sticking out into a corridor. But they put the shop front right inside, so prisoners can walk in to get to the shop front, which I find very interesting. Completely different to what I would have come up with. There's the shower, which has a whole ton of pipes in it, but then you can just run in a single pipe and it's all connected up, which is very nice, very handy. I would personally have also gone with probably a little bit of a wall down the center there, just to separate that off, right? Add a little bit of something, and you know, probably I would have made the walls tiled as well, just to make this look a bit more like a shower block, instead of brick walls. Personal touch. That's just the way that I would have done it. Maybe the team can have a think about that. Staff room, Cool, no worries. You've got all the fixins there that you need. A couple of couches and a drinks machine. There's even a radio there to help boost their relaxation. It hasn't painted the room onto the entire area though, so be mindful of that. It has just done a weird little zigzaggy bit in the top, but hey ho. It is the first release of this, so that's fine. Workshop is fairly honkin' big, as a matter of fact, but it's got presses and saws, it's got a couple of carpentry tables, and then a bunch of tables in the center to look after things there. You've got a classroom, which is bonk, there you go. That's a 10-seat classroom, so if you were doing the education challenge, you would need to build 2 of those side by side to get to the 20 seats that challenge requires. The common room is another new one. You've got your 2 pool tables here, a little seat circle here for when you want to do your group therapy sessions, a TV with a couple of couches there, which is nice, and a couple of phone booths. So fairly well thought out, all told. And then finally the utility room. That's an old one that's been there for a while. So yeah, those are the new quick builds that have been made available. And these guys are currently sleeping in the cells, but I'll just ignore them for now. I'm sure they'll be fine. And yeah, that takes care of the quick builds. I guess the only other thing to talk about is the new action options that we've got down here. So previously, I would be able to, let's say, pull in a riot cop, right? And when I select those guys, I get this little green circly thing so that I can move them around, and tell them where to go, which is cool, awesome. Whenever there's a riot, I can just run people into the visitation room and put down the guys that are misbehaving, and everything's great, right? And then when they're done, I can send them on their way. But normally, if I wanted to send these guards, somewhere, I used to have to click them and select, and send them around. Now I got 2 options. Either I can select them all and then move them that way, which is really handy, or I can use this new option called guard response, and I can say, guys, I need guards in here, or I need guards over here, and it'll pull within a radius a number of guards. Right? And it just keeps building as we go. So I can just keep clicking through the prison and just gathering up all of my dudes and saying, right, everyone get in there. And this whole block is going to get flooded with guards, which is pretty rad. That's a really handy way to be able to gather your guards up quickly and get them where you need to get them to quell a riot and bring things under control. Because normally, you had to reach for the riot police a little too often for my liking when things were starting to go a little bit pear-shaped. But now, you got another option. Speaking of other options, the other option that you have, if I wanted to search this block for tunnels, right? There'd be a couple of ways that I could go about that. I could select one of these toilets by tabbing through to select the toilet and then select search toilets, and it would search all of the toilets, but because there's a door at the top and bottom of this block, it would only search these ones in here, right? It would only search these tunnels. If I wanted to search this block as well, I'd have to select one of the toilets and say search this block, and you'd have to go around to every single block in this prison and select the toilets in that block to kick off the search. Option 2, you could have done a shakedown, and if we do this, we'll do a shakedown, you'll notice that this marks up the prisoner and the bed and the bookshelf and the toilet and the prayer mat, and if we roll over here, it's going to search all of the boxes and all that sort of stuff. It searches bloody everything in the prison at the same time, which is fine if you've got enough guards for it, but if you're running lean because you're trying to save a bit of money, it can get in the way. So the other way to do it was to do a roll call, which ejects all of the prisoners from their cells, and they all get woken up, and then you search any cell blocks where the prisoner doesn't come to the door, and cool, you find a toilet. Now, when you do find a dummy, and you do mark that cell to search, it still marks all of the objects in that cell. So it's still, it's still taking a lot of... Could we turn that off, please? Thank you. It's still going to take a lot of time, depending on how much tunneling you have underway. The other problem is that it wakes your prisoners up, and it messes with their sleep, and then they get cranky, and then all sorts of horrible things happen. So the new option that's been added is this guy, tunnel search. And when I click this, only the toilets. I mean, the noise that it makes is actually the noise that it makes at the end of a shakedown, so it's a little bit interesting. But that's okay. But yeah, it only marks the toilets up, and as a result, there's only 145 places to search because it's only searching the toilets. Whereas, if I were to do a full shakedown, 628, right? If I were to do a roll call, well, it doesn't tell me, but it is a way to quickly search for toilets day and night, because roll call can only be done when the prisoners are sleeping. Tunnel search can be done at any time. So in the middle of the day, you could kick that off and quite comfortably search all of the toilets in your prison and know exactly where your tunnels are, get into your foundations, get the remove tunnels option, and sneak them out, and you're done. So, very nice little addition. I mean, it has limited usage. A lot of people will probably stick to roll call, just as I stuck to shakedown when roll call was added, because that's just what I was used to. But it's fine. It's a new option, and it's welcome. 11 and Paradox, thank you so much, guys, for adding this update for free, no less. And I hope you all out there enjoy playing it. And yeah, let me know what you think about the update in the comments below. I'll catch you all next time.